are you, ma'am?
Please just know I don't know my parents are.
Ma'am, calm down. What?
Some people broke into our house and they just showed all his money. And I can hear my parents yelling downstairs. Please send help.
Ma'am, where are you?
You let them in the house. You let them in. We know that. You went downstairs and you opened that door for them. We know that. Jen.
Jennifer Payen, once the seemingly perfect daughter, was trapped under the strict and controlling rule of her immigrant parents, Hue Han and But Payen. The Payens were the embodiment of an immigrant success story. In 1979, they fled Vietnam in search of a better life, settling in Canada. Han worked as a tool and die maker, while his wife worked alongside him in a factory, manufacturing auto parts. Their primary focus was to provide their children, Jennifer and her younger brother Felix, with the opportunities they themselves had missed out on. From the outside, it appeared that their efforts had paid off. Felix was a diligent student, studying mechanical engineering at a prestigious university, and Jennifer was believed to be an award-winning pianist and a straight-A student on the path to becoming a pharmacist. Their parents, particularly Han, were proud of their children's achievements, considering them almost perfect. However, the truth about Jennifer's life was far from what her parents imagined. Beneath the surface, Jennifer had been living a web of lies. Despite her parents' belief in her academic success, Jennifer had never achieved the level of performance they expected. She had been lying about her grades, creating fake report cards, and even pretending to attend university. Instead of attending classes, Jennifer spent her days sitting in cafes, teaching piano, and working at a restaurant to support herself. She fabricated stories about receiving scholarships and even claimed she had been accepted to study pharmacology at the University of Toronto. Jennifer's deceit began in her childhood, which she attributed to the pressure of tiger parenting, a strict, controlling style often associated with Asian immigrant parents. Her parents' high expectations left her feeling trapped, with no room for failure. This immense pressure led her to lead a double life, hiding the truth about her academic failures and fabricating stories to keep up appearances. The situation escalated when Jennifer's parents, particularly her father, became suspicious of her claims. Han had always been strict and controlling, but his suspicions deepened when he followed Jennifer to what she claimed was her volunteer job at a hospital, only to discover that she was working at a restaurant. Furious and feeling betrayed, Han wanted to kick Jennifer out of the house, but her mother convinced him to let her stay. Han then gave Jennifer an ultimatum: either go back to school and cut ties with her boyfriend Daniel, or wait until Han passed away to resume her relationship with him. Feeling cornered and desperate, Jennifer saw no way out. The thought of losing her relationship with Daniel and being disowned by her parents was too much to bear. In her desperation, she conspired with Daniel to execute a plan that would change her life forever. Together, they decided that the only way to gain freedom was to eliminate the source of her pain, her parents. On a calm November night in 2010, Jennifer's plan was set into motion. She and Daniel hired 3 men to carry out the murder of her parents. The cost of this deadly plot was $10,000, with the hope that Jennifer would inherit $500,000 after her parents' deaths. On the night of the crime, Jennifer signaled to the hitmen that the door was unlocked by turning her bedroom light on and off several times. The gunmen stormed into the Payen family home, tied up Jennifer, and took her parents to the basement. There, they shot her mother dead and left her father in a pool of blood with a gunshot wound to the head, leaving him in a coma. Jennifer played the role of the grieving daughter perfectly. She called 911, claiming that the attackers had tied her up and left her helpless as they took her parents to the basement.
Where are you, ma'am?
Please just know I don't know my parents are.
Ma'am, calm down. What?
Some people broke into our house and they just showed all his money. And I can hear my parents yelling downstairs. Please
Her story seemed plausible at first, and Jennifer believed she had finally escaped her parents' restrictive grasp. However, her plan began to unravel when her father, Han, miraculously awoke from his coma. Contrary to Jennifer's account, Han remembered every detail of that night, including his daughter's involvement in the crime. As investigators probed deeper into Jennifer's story, inconsistencies began to emerge. They found it difficult to believe that Jennifer had managed to call 911 while supposedly handcuffed. During the interrogation, Jennifer explained to the detectives how she managed to call 911 while handcuffed.
You're now bound to the railing. Can you show me, can you stand up and turn around and tell me, just show on the camera, how your hands are bound? And how you are against the railing. You don't have to sit down, I just need to see how you were.
Just tell you.
The only reason that I'm trying to, I need to do this is that I'm also going to ask you is that so take this back to, take it out of a traumatizing event, which it is, and put yourself into a more clinical position, because I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. We're obviously going to need to know that. It's very important. So traumatize away, now put yourself into just a state of, I need to mechanically show how I can get access to my phone. Okay, because that's obviously very relevant. We know you made the phone call, but questions are going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator? Okay, so clinically, this is now a clinical demonstration. Just stand up, focus in on how you did it. And I want you to stick that in your waistband as an example. Okay, so just take your sweater off, because this will be a very smooth, very quick thing. It's a one-time demonstration. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it, but I need to go through it. Okay, so just take your sweater off. Stand up and turn around. Put this in the side that you believe it was in. Great. Turn around. So that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were. Okay? Now, and are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm.
Yes?
Around the banister.
Yes?
But my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister? Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call? 911? And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing. Okay, that's good enough. Sit down. Put your sweater back on.
Moreover, the fact that the killers left Jennifer unharmed raised further suspicions. The police began to keep a close watch on her, noticing her lack of genuine emotion even at her mother's funeral. During intense interrogations, Jennifer initially stuck to her story, but eventually she cracked under pressure. She admitted to hiring the hitmen, but in a final attempt to avoid full responsibility, she claimed that she had hired them to kill her, not her parents.
So the money you gave him was payment for killing you? That he wanted $2,000?
Yes.
When did he give you that figure of $2,000?
In one of our phone conversations.
Okay, what's that?
In one of our phone conversations.
This revelation, however, did not align with the evidence that the investigators had gathered, including text messages and phone records that painted a damning picture of a meticulously planned crime. The trial of Jennifer Pan and her accomplices began on March 19, 2014, and lasted for 10 grueling months. The prosecution presented a wealth of evidence against Jennifer, including over 100 text messages sent between her and Daniel in the 6 hours leading up to the murders. The evidence painted a clear picture of Jennifer's role as the mastermind behind the plot. Jennifer and Daniel provided conflicting accounts of the events of that fateful night, but the inconsistencies in their stories only served to deepen the suspicion against them. Here, the investigator is beginning to challenge Jennifer's story. He's an expert in detecting lies and half-truths, and he quickly picks up on inconsistencies in her account. Notice how he starts to build pressure, subtly suggesting that Jennifer isn't telling the full truth.
I realize that, but it doesn't seem to make sense.
I know it doesn't make sense to me. But that's how it was supposed to be.
Okay. Can you sit up for a minute, Jen? Okay, look at me. Look at me. Okay. Remember everything I told you about what I do for a living? Okay. I'm an expert in determining truth and half-truth. Okay. What you've just told me is half the truth. Okay? Now, what I do believe is that you went to somebody. And I do believe that night you paid them the $2,000. Okay? That's the true part. Okay? Right? But what's not true is it was never for you. Okay, Jen, no. Okay, you went to this person and you asked them to do a job. And the job was for your parents. Okay, that's what we got to get to here. Okay? I know that's what really happened, Jen. Okay? That's what really happened. Okay, so you've done good here. You're telling me half the truth. I'm going to get the other half out here. Okay? That's the part that you need to get to now. Okay, maybe you were supposed to be part of it, but you definitely wanted your parents out of the picture. Okay, that was for sure. Okay, so sit up and listen to me for a minute, because this is important. Okay? Now listen. Because of how you've been treated for the last 7, 8 years of your life, you no longer know how to tell the whole story, the truth from the start, okay? You've been conditioned just to tell little bits of the truth and little bits about lies, right? That's what you've done for 8 years now. That's how you've lived. It's an instinct now, okay? And that's part of your self-preservation that I talked about earlier, okay? And right now, that's where we're at, okay? That's where we're at. You did ask someone to come to the house, Jen, but it wasn't for you, okay? Pardon?
It was supposed to be.
You asked them to do this job on your parents, Jen, okay? Let's be truthful, okay? Nobody's going to come there and get the wrong people. Okay? They're not going to tie you up and just kill your parents. Okay? That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. Okay? That never happened. Okay? They were there because you planned this. They were there because you gave the order. Okay? And I understand why you gave the order. Because you couldn't do it yourself. Okay? That's good. Okay? Jen? Okay. But they were supposed to take your parents, Jen. And they did that part. Okay? Nobody needs... If you wanted to kill yourself, Jen, you're not going to pay somebody $2,000 to do it.
I couldn't do it myself.
Okay.
At this point, the investigator is focusing on the $2,000 payment Jennifer made. He's trying to get her to admit that the money wasn't for her, but rather for a job that involved her parents. The investigator's strategy is to break down her defenses by suggesting that he already knows the truth.
But there's other ways, okay? And if that was going to happen, They could have taken you outside and done it anywhere. It wouldn't matter, would it? Okay, there's no need to involve other people in this. If you really wanted to die, all they would have had to do is pull up beside you in a car and shoot you. Right?
They told me just to let him do it.
Okay, but you're not going to accept that. Okay? You're not going to accept that he's just going to randomly do it someday. Okay? There's other things that happen in this case, Jen. Okay?
Here, the conversation takes a critical turn. The investigator directly accuses Jennifer of planning the attack on her parents. He implies that the killers wouldn't have just left her alive by accident. This is a key moment where the investigator is pushing Jennifer to confront the reality of her actions.
Okay? You let them in the house. You let them in. We know that. You went downstairs and you opened that door for them. We know that. Jen, you did leave the door open for them, didn't you? Pardon?
Yes.
As the interview progresses, Jennifer begins to admit her involvement, including the critical detail of unlocking the door. The investigator methodically walks her through each step, reinforcing that her actions were intentional and planned.
Yes. And that's why you went downstairs earlier in the night, right? After your mom got home, what did you do?
Went down, said hello. Pretended to check the door.
And was it locked?
No.
You made sure it was unlocked.
Yes.
Okay, then what?
I asked her if it was in the bedroom. She said, I don't know.
The investigator solidifies Jennifer's role in the crime. By having her admit to unlocking the door, he's piecing together the full narrative for the case, and Jennifer's admissions are crucial for the investigation.
I asked her if it was in the bedroom. She said, I don't know.
Okay, so again, we have some truth here. That's good, Jen. We know all along that you let them in, okay? We knew that. I knew why you went downstairs, okay? That was done on purpose, right? You had to let them in, right? Jen?
Yes.
Okay, now did they tell you to do that?
Yes.
So what else did they tell you to do?
That was it, just to make sure they had access.
Okay, so what was the agreement then?
What do you mean? I
Well,
told you $2,000 and they were supposed to kill me, and then they called me and made sure that they had access.
okay, so how did they do that though? What was the question on the phone? Was it a text or a phone message?
Text, VIP access.
What does that mean?
I didn't know, and I just made sure they can get in.
Okay, so you saw a message that said VIP access, meaning they could get in. Okay. And so what did you text back?
I didn't text them back, I called them.
Okay, and what did you say?
I'm like, what does that mean?
Okay. And what did they say?
Make sure that there was a way in.
Okay, and what did you say would be the best way?
I didn't say it. I was like, front door, and he was like, yes.
Okay. All right. So, that's good, Jen. I appreciate that. Because, again, I already knew that's what happened, okay? Your family is going to lock those doors at night, right? That's the routine. So you went down and checked the door and made sure it was unlocked, right?
She was going to check it before she went to bed anyway.
Okay. But she didn't go to bed till midnight, right?
That's why I asked her.
Okay. Did you say, I've checked the door?
Yeah.
You didn't tell her?
Yeah.
As soon as Jennifer confessed, the investigator informed her that she was being arrested for murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder.
Okay. I need you to listen close to me, okay, Jen? At this point in the investigation, okay, I'm going to be arresting you for murder, okay? Also attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Do you understand that? Just have to tell me if you understand those charges. Just say yes or no. Yes. Okay. It is my duty to inform you that you have the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay.
The trial was emotionally charged, with the prosecution detailing how Jennifer had deceived her family for years, pretending to be a dutiful daughter while secretly planning to murder her parents. The jury was presented with the stark contrast between Jennifer's outward persona and the dark reality of her actions. On December 13, 2014, after months of testimony and deliberation, the jury delivered their verdict. Jennifer Pan, Daniel, and their accomplices were all found guilty of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. Each received a life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years, marking the end of a tragic chapter in the lives of the Pan family. Before Jennifer was taken to prison, her father addressed her in court, his words filled with sorrow and disappointment. "I hope my daughter Jennifer thinks about what happened to her family and can become an honest person," he said, his voice echoing in the silent courtroom. His words were a poignant reminder of the devastating consequences of Jennifer's actions and the irreversible impact on the Pan family. Throughout the trial, Felix Pan, Jennifer's younger brother, also played a significant role. Felix, who had always been considered the pride of the family, testified about the impact of Jennifer's lies on their family dynamic. He described their father as old school and controlling, acknowledging that this behavior was partly a reaction to Jennifer's actions. Despite the betrayal, Felix admitted that he loved and respected his sister, though her actions had deeply hurt him. He also revealed that he had a closer emotional bond with their mother, with whom he could openly communicate. After Jennifer's conviction, Felix relocated to the East Coast to escape the stigma associated with his sister's crime and the media attention that came with it. Jennifer is currently serving her sentence at the Grand Valley Institution for Women in Kitchener, Ontario. Her co-conspirators also remain incarcerated.